film, and I remember Ken very poignantly said, "Great, I'll make it for you." And I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have happened if that wasn't the case.
We had no idea what we were getting into, but we're gonna start this movie and just kind of talk over it. So we'll tell stories as it's going. This was the summer of 2008, and at this point, neither of us had any film experience. We had never been on a set. We had never shot anything before.
We never wrote anything, never learned any of the rules of writing anything.
We didn't know anything. Like, we didn't know shooting the first draft of the script is probably a bad idea. So that's what we did. We drove out to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because someone had a used camera for sale, and he got a great deal on the camera. We bought the camera just to shoot the movie. So, let's start.
Sean Gray?
Yes.
I am Dr. Robinson. And you're gonna be fine.
Did you finish your half of the report?
Not yet. I'm gonna be.
Are you serious?
Why are you telling me this? Didn't you just break up with Sean like...
Old news. I see the way you look at it, and now he's available.
So what do you think this is about?
Until today, I haven't seen anybody else sick. Seems kind of quick for flu to catch on.
Have you even looked at them? They look like they're about to keel over at any minute. And people keep telling us it's a flu.
Let's just try and keep everyone around here happy, okay?
So how many cameras are you using? Really one?
We shot this whole thing with one camera. This was a handy cam. It was a Canon HV30. Back in the day of shooting interlace, so it shot 1080i, which was a pain of a codec to try and work with. And it shot on little mini DV tapes. So I think I told the story last time I was here, but for those who weren't there, we could only afford 6 of these tapes. And you can fit an hour's worth of footage on each tape. And when you're filming, you don't just film each scene once, you shoot all day, so you can film multiple tapes in a day. But we didn't have a computer when we started shooting this because we couldn't afford one. But we could afford the hard drive. So I would show up with 6 old tapes, the camera, to Henry's camera store and plug into their display laptop and capture all of my tapes live while I chased around the store. Wow. They let me do that 6 times before kindly asking me never to come back. Now we didn't know, at least I didn't know at the time, how to make a camera look like 28 days later. I know now obviously it's a fast shutter effect, but I knew what to do to the camera to make it do that. I didn't know what it was or how to describe it, but it was a series of pointing at something very bright, locking in a setting, changing something else. Then all of a sudden, I could get this really stuttery, chaotic look. And so we use that periodically anytime there's something really chaotic happening.
The camera that you guys used, was it like just like a handheld, like
Yeah, it's
type
the
of
size
camera,
of
or
this
was it
coffee
like
mug, handheld thing like this.
Okay, okay, okay.
Built-in lens. It's
Family holiday camera.
Yeah. Okay, was it like a family holiday camera? It wasn't like a Canon 3, like, you know?
Right.
It was no bigger than the camera on the tripod behind you.
But it was the only like household level camera that you could buy that would do 24 frames a second.
Yep.
So that was the one we had to get.
He
Yeah.
just get mauled.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's dead.
I better
He'll
be
live
inside
on
your face.
in the
Yeah,
werewolf
no,
costume.
you've seen me as the werewolf a couple of times now. You'll see me many more.
Oh, great, okay.
I remember that one's me.
That's you.
Yeah, I'm in that costume.
Anytime you see a werewolf doing something that looks really physically exhausting, that's a safe bet it's me.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do those ones.
No.
Animal.
And dangerous. And stupid. Those are probably all.
I have to say, you look like you had a lot of fun making it.
We did.
It kept us in the film game.
Did you guys do any tweaks? Like, did any actor did anybody suggest something else and you're like, yeah, I love it, let's do it?
Oh yeah, probably every day someone had an idea of, oh, what if we do it this way or that way? And so it was very collaborative in that way.
He still hasn't got that.
It's a long hallway.
He went that far, thinking he could save her.
It's definitely one of those things where like, don't try to think of the geography too much.
Standing on a box to make it look much bigger. I was the werewolf just like Tom Cruise and a few other ones.
Oh.
Yeah, so like. So this is one of the scenes where you can probably tell better than others that a lot of the blood, although we used a ton of it, we did add a lot of blood in post-production. We actually bought a 4x8 sheet of plywood, painted it green.
Oh, here's Ken's kid.
Oh, I just got smoked through the door there.
If we had sound, you would hear Ken screaming, for real right there.
Fuck, 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 fuck was my only dialogue.
You just get shot?
Yeah, McQuaid has now killed a man.
Because he needs bait for the werewolf. Anybody get any door handles going through doorways there?
Thank you, Keith, what a good question.
Yes.
Very painful.
What was used to create the werewolf costume?
So I made that. I went to Michael's. I bought about $300 of Fabricland. Thank you. $300 worth of fur, another like $100 worth of foam. Got a bunch of clay and epoxy, and just sat there at home shaping it. And that mask probably weighed about 18 pounds. Like I said, if you got hit with it, it hurt.
I remember you weren't able to finish it before we started filming, so you were on set filming with us, and then you would go home and keep working on this costume. And every morning be like, is the costume ready? Like, no. Like, when can we start shooting the werewolf?
That destruction made the highlights. It was just there, but we're like, oh.
You're like, look at that.
Set dressing.
Free set dressing, yeah.
Do you still have the costume?
The costume got real gross by the end of this. There's so much corn syrup and sweat baked into this costume.
5 different people's sweat. It smelled terrible.
Yeah, there's points where Heath would have to get into it still wet.
Yes. Not from me. I remember the first time I put it on, it was literally dripping in someone else's sweat. Yes, it was not ideal.
I remember one of the outside shots, I was like freezing, and I don't know if it was you or Dan or something, whoever was playing the werewolf that night, they like let me stick my hands in on their chest so that I could warm up my hands, and I'm like, ew! It's so sweaty and gross.
So actually, the first time they see the werewolf in the movie is the first time the actors had seen the costume as well. We kind of planned it out. Everyone was like, Kory, is it done? I'm like, it'll get done. And then one day I was just behind them in the costume.
You can only imagine what a contractor didn't know there was a movie being shot came in. Afterwards, I saw the place thinking, oh, what goes on in these dorms?
On the floor.
Yep.
This is actually a reshoot. That was just done in front of a piece of drywall that we covered in blood.
Yes. We wanted a moment where McQuaid thinks that Kaylee has been killed.
Yep.
Okay, now we really pick up.
The stairs.
This was a night. Oh yeah.
Sorry, was that hard on you?
If you're familiar, downtown, not far from here, the parking garage that's attached to the keg, kitty corner to that, the stairwell is right on the corner. we just showed up guerrilla style and ran up and down those stairs from probably midnight to 4 a.m. We were all so tired.
And I was in this costume running up and down this sucks.
Yeah.
That like,
Heath in the costume.
probably weighed how much altogether? Like close to 35 pounds.
Oh, at this point, with the sweat,
And it did not breathe, and he's making me run up and down these stairs over and over again.
This is about 4 stories. We did what we could to make it
And
look
great performance.
like a lot more. That was a digital effect.
and he just kept getting the direction. Can you just do it faster and more wolf-like?
I don't know how no one fell running up and down. If you have any questions, now.
How many people survived besides him?
Well, MACQUAID
Yep.
survived.
We did decide that Jen is out there somewhere in case we want to do the sequel, Werewolf Queen lives.
Yep. Not many other than that.
Yeah, I think we killed everyone that we could.
What's the recent film you just filmed just recently?
The most recent one we did was the one we did for the 48-hour Flick Fest called Relish the Old Days. It's the musical we did.
Look at all that.
So, yeah. You might recognize some of these bands. They're all Windsor bands.
Are they all Fog players?
What's that?
Do they all go to Fog?
Oh, probably. Probably at some point.
Sorry I didn't get to tell, but I would love to tell. So we had to blow up this car, and up until this point, we're using Joel's actual car in all the scenes. So we're like, all right, Joel, now we just gotta flip it. He's absolutely not.
Rightfully so. You know.
We had to draw the line. So me and Ken go to this junkyard. Like, we were planning to buy a car to blow up.
Which just coincidentally, I had driven past a week before and saw the exact car parked on the road.
We go in and we tell them, listen, we're filming a movie, we're trying to blow up this car, and we see that you have the right one. And the guy says, well, I guess if I'm donating a car, I don't care what you do with it.
And I
we
slowly released the $500 that I have in my pocket. I said, donate, you say.
That car was donated very graciously.
And we stressed with him, like, well, we do want to blow it up. And he's like, listen, I don't care what you do with it, just bring it back.
Whoa.
Scrap.
Wow.
So we blow it up.
So you brought it back?
Yeah. Kory was very nervous on the day we blew it up because we had this big fireball and it's burning. He's like, put it out, because if the tires pop, we can't get it back.
No one's moving this car.
Did you tell them that you were gonna borrow it?
No, we were very upfront.
Oh yeah, they knew what was happening. There was no surprise. They gladly took it back, and he told them it went great.
Same with, to get a bunch of the tempered glass, we went to Zuliani Glass, and we were like, do you have any offcuts? We're just looking to buy some tempered glass. And then, we got this like 5 sheets of 4 foot by 8 foot glass. Take all you want.
Now it became like, how do we move all this glass? We're calling people with trucks, like, okay, we've got 4 sheets of half-inch thick tempered glass.
We tried making sugar glass. It was way more dangerous than just actual glass because it was so thick.
Oh yeah.
You just didn't know what we were doing.
Buying sugar glass is not.
No.
How many projects did you use that other glass on? Like those sheets of tempered glass?
I think I still have a few.
You still
Yeah. Well, one for sure was the Camp Blood music video. And we learned it's very tough to break that tempered glass. We wanted to do a scene where we had a guy dressed up like Jason Voorhees, and he was supposed to smash a machete through the glass. And that, after 9 takes of that knife bouncing off the glass, we had someone off camera trying to hit the corner of the glass with a hammer at the same time, which also didn't work. So we swapped the knife for a sledgehammer and duct tape a metal punch to the end of the hammer so it would go right through. So, yeah.
You said you learned a lot while making this film. Was there any lesson that stood out the most to you that you learned from the whole process and everything?
Yeah, I learned to do a short film before you do a full length.
Hear that, John?
Or rewrite the script multiple times. Don't just go and shoot the first draft.
said do a short film first.
How did you come up with the concept of the movie that you wanted to make? Like, did you already have this plan?
There's actually like the first scene we wrote that's not even in the film because we were just incapable of doing it. And we wanted this old man dancing in front of a fountain while people are being attacked in a like city square by werewolves around him. That was well beyond anything we could do. And we got this out of it.
The inspiration, yeah, a blind man dancing, not knowing people were getting ravaged turned into this.
So it was a short film concept. And we were like, we got 80 minutes out of that. Yeah.
Have you submitted to any festivals?
It was accepted at one.
Yeah, this actually had its premiere at WIP in 2010. We had 2 sold-out screenings there.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I was at one of those screenings.
Yeah?
So that was when I saw it the first time, and I had, back then it was only 4 days, I think, which was much more manageable than what it is now. So I had a weekend pass. I can't even tell you how many movies I went to, but I remember this one and 2 others, and that was it. My cousin went, we laughed.
Perfect. That is the perfect reaction.
I remember we screened it, and afterwards this like 9-10-year-old boy comes up to me and we're like, "Oh no, you were in the audience." I really liked your film. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any features planned to be done, like as a director?
We do, yeah. Same team, and Danielle, my partner, we are currently writing a feature film that is a different, very different genre. That's a murder mystery comedy.
Okay.
So, but there's always many projects in the works as well. So feature films now, as you learn more about what it takes to make one and do one at, you hope to be a higher level with more knowledge, it just takes longer because, you know, we're now on the 7th draft of that screenplay. Not writing the first draft and then turning the camera.
Do you hope to adapt a certain story for one of your future projects?
I think the problem is we get actually too excited about too many stories. Because sometimes me and Ken will just sit down to write something, and we'll come up with this idea, and all of a sudden we're 2 hours deep into that idea.
Yeah, and sometimes the most difficult thing is to stay focused. Because there's always a lot of different projects. You know, you start on a project, you're very excited about it, and you know, when you're 6 months in thinking about the same project, it's very tempting to then think, oh, well, this other new project, I've thought this idea to death. Why don't I think about this other thing? Like, no, you've got to stay focused until you can finish one.
Well, I mean, like, by adapting a classic story, I mean, like, already existing stories, like, from, like, books or something?
We haven't really explored that idea.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's something that a lot of people do, for sure.
I would certainly never say no, but I don't know if they're going to come knocking on my door.
Well, if they're, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The storyline that you guys created, did you guys work on it together, and how long did it take you to?
That was, 90% Kory. You wrote the first, you wrote the story and then shared it with me, and we had ideas kind of back and forth.
So I've recently seen someone give the advice of like, don't tell people that you have plans until it's like well in motion. And when I told Ken like, hey, I want to do this movie, and he's like, great, I'll do it for you. I was like 60% done the script. So at that point, Ken stepped in. He helped a lot with the character development. So like, yeah, I took the writing credit on it, but Ken had a lot of input.
So how long did it take you to write that 60%? And was it like rough draft, or did you have like an actual like script where it's like, okay, this person's gonna say this, or like, did you, you know,
So again,
did you
this is
have everything all
16 years ago, but I would say it took me about 3 weeks to write the script.
3 weeks?
Yeah, which compared to today is like, I don't know how I did a script in 3 weeks, and
You had a lot less going on 16 years ago.
Yeah, I had a little more free time back then.
What was your biggest challenge in the whole project? Going back, looking back at everything, what's the biggest challenge that you faced, and what do you think is what you thought was going to be the biggest challenge, but ended up turning out to be something that was very easy in retrospect?
I think the biggest challenge is just like keeping momentum going again. We weren't paying anyone. We're really just banking on like, you're having a good time being here. This is a great experience. The fact that no one dropped off is amazing. Whereas I would have thought the biggest challenge would be all the like, crazy trick shots we did, but those were just like fun to think about. They kind of just came naturally because you couldn't not think about them.
Yeah, I think depending on the stage of the production, you know, whatever the challenge was of that month, of that week, of that day, that was the biggest challenge at the time. It was the one that we were facing, and we couldn't move forward until we figured that out. And so, you know, whether it was, all right, how do we actually make this? We have all the footage, but we don't have a computer.
Yeah.
That was a challenge. You know, how do we make the climax work? Because we tried to shoot it day for night, and that didn't work. And then we tried to shoot it again, and it was a little better, but didn't work. And so that final scene, we reshot 3 times. So that was a challenge to try and make that work. Yeah, learning how to edit.
Yeah.
Right? This was just a computer set up in my bedroom that we basically lived on for 2 years, getting together every day and noodling away at like, okay, well, it makes sense to kind of organize it this way. Maybe I'll just edit one scene at a time and then combine sequences. And, you know, read some books on how to edit. I thought, you know, I'm not a very strong reader. I'm not someone who goes out and loves to read books, so I wanted to minimize the amount I had to read. But I went out and I bought books on editing because I thought, if I know how to edit a movie, I'll know what shots I need, so that I can reverse engineer it while I'm directing, and then shoot the shots that I know I'll need to make the edit work. And I don't know. We have a movie, so it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does work.
I mean, as much as we kind of sit here and like poke fun at it, you know, we've done a lot of growing since this. I am incredibly proud that we actually got this project done.
Sure.
Like, that seems incredible at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, like, saying that you thought about editing, you know, the movie, did you, do any script or like, any storyboarding at all?
So that scene in the library, I think, is very famously the only scene we storyboarded.
Yeah.
Because it was a really fast shoot. Even the like werewolf transformation, I had all these ideas of what I wanted to do, and everything was filmed in about 20 days straight. And all of a sudden that day came up, and I was like, I totally forgot to make any kind of a rig for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what do I have? I have latex and fur.
Exactly. The library scene was probably a month after the bulk of everything that happened in the film. So that was definitely at that point we had a little bit more time to storyboard and, you know, show up knowing we were just shooting this one location, one scene. You know, we didn't have the wheelchair while we shot anything in the dorm. Otherwise, those shots would have been a lot smoother.
Okay, one more question maybe? Are we done? That was a great question.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know how long it took you after the shooting, after getting the movie.
All of the primary shooting, which is what we did in the dorm, happened in August of 2008, and the film premiered in November of 2010. So just over 2 years.
Yeah.
I want to thank you both. It was amazing.
Please add and subscribe me and hit that notification bell for more updates.